If you're in need of cash for whatever reason out of your house, whether it be home improvements, debt consolidation, there is a proper way to go about it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to take advantage, some would call a housing bubble, and as well as the 5 major benefits of doing a cash out refinance. And additionally, I'm going to show you why home equity lines of credit are a really, really bad idea in this environment. Stay tuned. Hey, it's Rick Elmendorf, Loan with Rick. This is going to be an interesting topic. So I'm talking about how to cash out your home equity. Really, this is a topic that could be pretty much for any time because there is a proper way to do it. But especially now where we sit in 2022 with the market and everybody calling for a housing bubble, a housing crash, which by the way, I'm telling you, is not going to happen. But so check this video. I don't even know if I'm pointing in the right place, but check out the video that I just recently did about this is not a housing crash. So nothing you need to worry about and how rates are going to be affected down the road, and they are going to be coming down. So hopefully I'm not eating my words come January, but I will tell you that is going to happen. But also we need to look at like how the housing bubble or this specific media driven housing bubble is actually helping your finances. We're going to be looking at a couple things here, and I wanted to discuss a few topics. The first topic I guess I want to talk about is how home equity is at its highest point. It's really, really high right now. So over the last 12 to 18 months, home appreciation has accelerated at quite frankly, an abnormal rate. And even with the housing market cooling of recent, the equity position of homes across America is higher than ever before. I was a real estate appraiser, and basically what appraisers do when they're evaluating the price or the effective market value of a house is what they do is they look at sales comparables over the last 6 months to figure out what the value is, and they look at comparable sales. Now, the cool thing is that the existing comparable sales that are available to an appraiser are supporting ridiculously high values. Now, remember, 6 months ago, I'm doing this video in June of 2022, we had home closings in January. Now, January is when they closed. This is when the sale closed, but the contract was probably written in November or December. So we've had many, many months before any of this cooling, before rates went up, and rates really were started going up in January, and then they just went up like a missile in March. So prior to that, we had some amazing sales. So even people that contracted in March, locked their rate in March, didn't close until May. So we have some tremendous comparable sales that are going to be vaulting the equity position and the home values. Basically, the bottom line is that the more equity you have in your house, the more you can borrow. So this is a real positive thing for those that are looking to take cash out of their house. Now, before moving on, I wanted to mention that I've built an Excel spreadsheet that calculates numbers for both a purchase and a refinance, but specifically we're talking about cash out refinances that, it's very plug and play. So just head over to www.loanwithrick.com and click on calculators, and you'll just check out the calculators right for you. I got a number of them there. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is that the rates on home equity loans and credit cards will skyrocket. Now, the Federal Reserve has been making some pretty aggressive statements and actions, raising what we call the federal funds discount rate. This is the overnight lending rank of banks. So basically, when they jack this rate up, it is increasing the cost for the consumer to borrow money. This is not increasing mortgage rates. This is a completely different thing. In fact, a Fed rate hike is actually good for mortgage rates. And this is probably another story, another video. I do have lots of videos on these topics. If you just go to my channel, youtube.com/Rick Elmendorf, you should be able to see. Please subscribe, by the way. If you're liking this content, I don't know, I'm just like on a tangent here, but go ahead, subscribe, give me a like on the video. But I will tell you that the home equity loans, anything consumer tied to consumer, prime rate, credit cards, car loans even, a lot of these things, especially the variable ones, are going to go through the roof as the Fed continues to make policy changes and try to get inflation down to that 2 to 2.5% mark. So what I like to do when I'm looking at a refinance, because technically people have a first mortgage, which may be at a much lower interest rate. Then they've got all this debt. Maybe they have a second mortgage, a home equity loan that they got that's going up, and they want to consolidate. So what I like to do is a blended rate analysis, and I do this on the spreadsheet that I previously mentioned. Anyway, bottom line, that if you hold on to credit card or any sort of revolving debt that is tied to these rates that the Fed is now adjusting up, you will pay a lot more interest. It's a really good idea to consolidate. The third thing I wanted to talk about is that your overall payments will drop drastically with a cash out refinance. So most debts that are being paid off with home equity and the cash out refinance will have much higher interest rates and payments than what you're paying on a new mortgage, and even in a higher interest rate market like we are sitting in today. So a mortgage payment, remember, is amortized over 30 years, which will massively reduce your total payments and allowing you to immediately catch up financially. Most people are sitting with credit card debt. Some of the credit card debt is only paying the interest due. Some of them even defer your interest, paying 20-something% going up. And no offense, but you're looking at typically the debt payments on a car payment at a much higher interest rate. Still, it's just the 30-year fixed rate mortgage is going to lower your monthly wired payments substantially. One of the very not so much talked about things is that your credit score will improve after debt payoff. Now, I've been saying a lot to people that, don't pay off your debt. Don't just pay your credit cards to zero. Do not close accounts, by the way. If you close accounts on good debt, pay that off, really bad for you. There's a systematic way to going about paying off debt and improving your credit score. So before you do anything, please let's talk about it. Even when we're doing a cash out refinance, there's an algorithm that these credit bureaus use to calculate your credit score. We want to make sure that we're fitting and doing the right thing and paying off the right thing. But needless to say, your score will improve substantially after paying off revolving credit card debt, a home equity line of credit that's maxed, things like that. And it'll put you in a better position when we get set to refinance down the road. And that's the next topic. So the last thing is like when you do a cash out refinance and you consolidate, you're preparing yourself for the coming refinance boom. Now, whenever you're watching this video, it doesn't matter. Rates don't go up and stay up, and they don't go down and stay down. We are always in a cycle. It goes up and it goes down. That is just the way it goes. Interest rates are always going to bounce back and forth based on the movement and the direction of the Federal Reserve and how they affect monetary policy, whether purchase of mortgage-backed securities, if they're tapering or they're buying quantitative easing, whatever it may be that they are doing to affect the market. Rates go up and they go down. I am of the opinion, and I believe I can back this up with facts, that we are going to see much lower interest rates come the end of 2022 and into the first quarter of 2023. Now, we're going to get back in the twos, maybe not. But what I see is a recession coming. Recessions are very good for mortgage rates. May not be that great for the consumer, but all these things kind of coupled in with the higher home equity, all these things, being able to consolidate this higher interest rate debt, it's going to prepare us to then refinance all that debt to a much lower interest rate. This is really, really good. And you did hear me right. Rates are high now, but based on all these actions of the Fed, we will see lower interest rates. So don't worry about the consolidation aspect of the rate that you're going to. Look at it in the bigger picture of, I'm taking care of a problem right now that exists: credit card debt, home equity lines of credit debt. Yeah, I got a first mortgage, but I'm consolidating everything. I'm lowering my payment, and I'm preparing myself for when rates drop. If you only have one debt that you're dropping, it's a lot easier, because if you try to do it with a home equity loan and credit cards, it's going to be a cash out refinance, and it's going to be a higher interest rate. You don't want to have the high interest rate when you're trying to execute a refinance when rates are super low. That's when you want to do what's called a rate and term refinance and lower your payments, and then be able to roll that down as the market comes down. By the way, as a side note, there's no rule that says you can't refinance like multiple times in a year. This is very normal when we roll down the rates when the interest rates are dropping. I like to take a little bit of my chips off the table every time we get maybe a 3/8 to a 0.5% improvement in interest rate. And I like to try to do that at no cost. Literally keep the balance the same. Let's not start over on the loan. Let's just lower the interest rate and keep on trucking. And then once we kind of feel like we hit the low, we can go ahead and pay the closing cost and finance those just to get their payment as low as we can. Obviously, keeping into consideration how long you're going to be in the house and things of that nature. So lastly, I wanted to give you a pro tip. Do not get a home equity line of credit. I think it's a very, very bad idea. Remember, the rates of a home equity line of credit are tied to the prime rate, which will be rising quite substantially as the Fed continues to tighten the screws on the economy. Now, even though you may have a good interest rate on the first mortgage of the first mortgage, right? But it's many times it just still makes more sense to consolidate debts, home improvement ideas that you're looking at doing. You got to consider the cost. What is my cost of leaving my first mortgage and gaining that, or retaining or adding that debt on the back of my mortgage, on the back of my house? So a lot of people think, I'll just get a home equity line of credit. It's the simplest thing to do. Well, it's actually not. All the reasons I've explained, you're going to find that the blended rate of all this other debt that you're accumulating, not to mention the risk of these rates going up in the future. And by the way, we're going to probably sit in this lull of a recession. It might be a financial recession side of that financial crisis, the 07, 8, 9 time frame. This may extend longer than that. I don't know, but I just feel really uncomfortable having a lot of revolving debt. Even though I may have a good A rate on my first mortgage, it just doesn't make sense to stay in revolving debt right now. So if you're in need of cash out, please send me a comment. Let me know if you like this content as well. Give me a thumbs up. It really does help out a lot. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing for more mortgage content. We do a lot of strategy videos like the one you're watching now on this channel, and I do market updates as well. And I'd love to talk to you about this thing. So if you are looking at getting cash out in 2022, please head over to loanwithrick.com, click on the get started link, message me, go to my Instagram. There's gonna be a lot of ways you can get a hold of me. And anyway, I look forward to serving you. This is Rick Elmendorf, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.